Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talk About Transformers. This is a surprise episode. I usually am going to be posting Monday and Friday at noon, but I decided if I pick something new up that I would film the review and just put it out maybe the next day after I film it. So this could come out tomorrow, Sunday at noon, and then you could have another review Monday at noon, so you'd get a 2 review in 2 days kind of deal. Also, I have a TV in the background now. Yes, I put a TV on the table because I moved all of my stuff into the same room that I record in, and now if I need to record stuff for video games when I am playing with my buddy Waffles over on his channel, Waffle House Games, this is where I'll be doing that too. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look at Studio Series 78 Sideswipe from Transformers Dark of the Moon. Or, no, this is not the Dark of the Moon version. This is the Revenge of the Fallen version. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the box. We'll get our camera raised up here. So that way we can see the box in all of its empty glory, because I took everything out of it because I only keep masterpiece boxes. So as soon as this review is done, this box is going bye-bye. But there it is. Transformers Generations Takara Tomy Hasbro 8 Plus. Side of the box is Sideswipe with your Generations. Back of the box, more Sideswipe. Obligatory product shots, 19-step conversion, big screen expired. GM officially licensed Corvette. I believe he's a Stingray. Don't quote me on that. There's his little 2-sentence bio. And he is a Deluxe class Studio Series 78 Sideswipe. And there's his box. Say goodbye to his box. And the first thing I'm going to take a look at, because I don't really care about them, is the stand. This is looks like we're sideways busted out of the building in the Shanghai scene of Revenge of the Fallen. It says Revenge of the Fallen Generations. Put him on here in car mode just to say I displayed him on it once in his entire lifetime. There we go. And I'm going to lower back down to ground level. We will take a look at this guy. He's got the Corvette logo on him. You know what? Go ahead and do a zoom in. Got the Corvette logo on him. Got some black paint in the vents here. Molded venti details. No headlights like you should have, but that's okay. Side view mirrors. You got the divot in the roof and the bump out on the hood, so they're like backwards there. Coming around to the back, red plastic tail lights. The exhaust is not painted the same color as the rest of him, and neither are his guns, so his exhausts are dirty. He's got his antenna here, maybe. I'm not sure what that is. If you know if that's the antenna or not, it kind of like the circular part just makes me think of a fuel cap. On the side, he's got painted rims and details underneath the rims. These wheels are pinned, so this detail in the rim goes all the way around. This one is clip-on wheel, so you can see the 3 clip holes that you often see with those. I know these ones are pinned because the original version of this figure I picked up, this tire wasn't pinned correctly and it was causing a gap here. And he also had some mold deformities over on this one, so I ended up going and getting a different one and trading them in, and this one holds together much better. Got a little bit of kind of slight gappiness here, but other than that, door details. There's the bottom, there's his head. He's staring into our souls. And there's the robot laying down kind of deal, except for he's like shouldering himself in the kidneys and putting his hands in the air like he just don't care. But there you go. There he is in his car mode. It looks very nice to me. I'm not a car expert, and I actually prefer muscle cars, classic ones, not like the Camaro Concept Bumblebee, but I like classic looking muscle cars. But it's a cool car. Starting with this review, and then Continuing onward, my standard Rubik's Cube is now shiny because this is the Mirror Magic Cube. It's the same size, but it has different sized sections, so when you mix it up, it looks nuts. It doesn't look nice and cubey the whole time. So this is our new cube comparison. Same old Laura Magala statue. As always, we've got our definitely not in scale masterpiece Volkswagen Beetle, and then for a Wavemate friend comparison, we've got Jolt here from the same wave, same movie. The car, I don't know how big this car is supposed to be, but it looks too big to me. Anyway, and that's about it for vehicle mode comparisons. So go ahead and put those back on my little lower shelf here, and we'll go ahead and get him transformed into robot mode. The first thing we're going to do is pop his swords out. There is a tab here and a tab here and a big slot in this lighter gray part of his thigh. The tab on the front is going to go into this notch. These two tabs are going to go around this tab here, and then this big old tab goes into his thigh to hold it into place. It was a lot sturdier on the Dark of the Moon version. You actually use the same slot and big tab to kind of give him holsters for his swords in robot mode, but in this one, if we do that, I'll show it off. If I remember, they just fall out. They're not sturdy at all. These have a new way to secure in robot mode. We'll pop his swords off, put them off to the side. His guns can stay for now. We'll go ahead and open up his hood area. There's two tabs on each side that go into a slot on this part and a slot on this part, respectively. Then we can lift his hood up and pull it out. There is a notch made out of clear plastic there, you can see, that goes over another notch made out of clear plastic in there. And then what I like to do is we'll rotate his arms down and out of the way. We're going to leave the shoulders on their armatures down here by his kidneys for now, but we're going to rotate the arms out of the way because these side panels are in a ball joint here, and there's an armature with a hinge here. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the hinge into the area that the forearms were sitting in with the tire, and I'm just rotating this whole panel up so that way it's out of my way. So here it is from the top, rotate it back and up and out of our way. Now that we've done that, we'll come around to this side, and the same 2 peg and 1 slot clip system that holds the sword in place on this area is also implemented here. So you've got your 1 peg and your 2 pegs. Rotate these down to help get them past those armatures. If you don't rotate the armatures back, you don't have to rotate these down, but this is just how I've been transforming it. And then you're just going to push this section up, which is in reality dislodging this section so it rotates down past his head. There is a tab right here, and there is a peg slot right here. You're going to rotate his chest down, making sure that everything goes past what it's supposed to go past, and it's going to clip into place like so. We'll go ahead and rotate his head forward. Now for this section, the armature that these are on is also a ball joint here where the slot is pegged in, and then there's a swivel hinge underneath the rear tail light, and there's a gap here, and you're just going to move that hinge into that gap, which, because of the tab up here, can take some finagling. Get it in there. You might have to rotate it a little on that ball joint, and then you can position them however you want. I just kind of have the tab resting over the slot where the ball joint is. I just like the way it sits there. We'll go ahead and we'll get this one on. No, oh, that was actually surprisingly easy. That one's been giving me trouble. Alright, so those are positioned how I want them. The arms are on these armatures here. There's a ball joint at the shoulder and then a hinge on the inside, and you're just going to take the arm and push it up into place. It doesn't lock in, but it'll sit under there. So essentially this was there and now this was there, so the arm kind of pulled a switch around with what goes where. So his arms are both in place. I'll worry about his hands in a minute. This is supposed to, it thoops into place, it wiggles, but it doesn't fall down freely. You have to push it down, and then these are supposed to face forward, so I'll just push them back forward until it stops on that peg that I guess it's just a corner molded in that it thoops past, like one of them hex rotations, and I push it forward so that it sits right, and then I'll actually take these door sections and rotate them up in behind it to kind of keep it from falling underneath and falling back, so that way it stays forward. And then this door detail lines up with the back of his car here. We'll go ahead and we'll rotate his legs forward for now, just so that way they're out of the way and they're straight. And I'm going to do his backpack. So we're going to fold this down. There's one of them notches up in here too, so it'll thoop in different segments. So here's car thoop, there's the midway thoop, and there's the full backpack down thoop. This is on two hinges, kind of. There's a hinge, and a hinge, and then two struts in the middle. So we just collapse those together up in, and then there are two tabs on the hood that just rest underneath the windscreen. Unlock those, and then on strut with two hinges again, we'll just put that up in there and just kind of mush everything together. Nothing pegs in back here, kind of like MP45 Bumblebee. The only difference is this isn't a $100 masterpiece, this is a $20 deluxe. So we're going to rotate these portions around, so we have a gap here which will allow us to fold this down. And then you can rotate the front of the foot back up, and then you can rotate this all the way back up, but I actually like to have it down a little bit, so that way there's kind of like a 3-point system of solidity in the foot. You got the toe, the tire, and the heel back here, creating a nice line that he can stand on. So again, rotate that around, fold the foot forward, and then just kind of have this not all the way back but down a little bit. Separate his legs, rotate this panel down to cover up the inside, or the wheel, so that it looks like the wheel is inside his foot with the mechanical robot stuff all around it. And then his legs are on two knee joints, and you can just collapse them back and use those heel pieces to just get him balanced. Rotate his thighs forward a little bit. We'll get him balanced here real quick, just so that way we know he's going to balance, and then we'll do his arms. If you don't have the guns plugged in, you can just kind of use your fingernail, if you have one, to brush this out. So you just kind of get your fingernail gripped on something and just, flick it out, and that's how you can get the hand out. But if you have the guns plugged in, it makes it easier, because you just push the barrel of the gun, it rotates the hand out, you take the gun off, and then you finish rotating it out. And there's Sideswipe in his robot mode, without any of his accessories. We'll take a look at those in a second, and he looks pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and zoom in here, take a look at details. So we've got his face here. It's painted much better than the Dark of the Moon face, that's for sure. The eyes picked out in blue. The Dark of the Moon face just looks really, really weird. And then you can see here that this is actual molded red plastic. It's not painted in. You can see the seam lines, and if you look under here even, let me see if I can get it. There's a little tiny dot of red in there that you can see. If you can see that right by my thumbnail, where you can see that it's clipped in. So it is definitely either painted red and separately molded or molded red. And then you've got the Corvette logo with the red and black. All this mechanical detail going down his torso, into his thighs. His legs just look like they're pistony and stuff like they should. And then he's got the wheel feet with the car parts helping to stabilize it. His shins are asymmetrical. This one has this little hole in an outward moving piece, and this one doesn't. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, or if it is accurate, why it works that way. Coming up the arms, he's got, this is painted on this version, which I believe is different from the old version. It just helps his forearm stand out, and it looks really nice, the wheel on the forearm. He's got his fingers molded so that way it looks like he's got a fist when he holds his gun, but it looks like he's, just got his hands out like he's just gonna hit you with his blade. Because when you use a blade like that, a lot of the times you see the characters with their fingers splayed, so it kind of is like halfway, so it can fill both roles. And then mechanical detail up the side, big old backpack back here. So just a big old backpack, but it's a deluxe and it's a Bayformer, so it's kind of what we've all come to expect out of the backpacks on these figures. Try and get him standing again. There's actually detail in here for his back. If you move all the plating out of the way, you can see in here he's got detail in there, but it all gets covered up by these plates, which is a shame. Then for his guns, he can hold them as you would expect. Let's see. This gun's going to go in this hand. No, it's going to go in this hand. What it is when you have them in vehicle mode, this is going to tab into the hand, and then you're going to want the exhaust when the hand is folded up to face the same way it would be if you were shooting it. So if you really wanted to feel silly, you could just plug this back in to his hand. I'm gonna have to do this off camera because I'm having trouble getting these plugged in up close. There we go. You could have him have like a little gun hand, but so when the hand is folded out, folded in, you want the gun to be upside down and pointing this way, which is how you know which hand it belongs to, and that leaves the peg on the inside for the robot mode, which means that the outside of the gun that shows in poses and things like that is going to be clean, and it also is the correct side that we're going to store the guns on. So you can have his guns in his hands, and you can also store them in his back here. So you just lift this up and pull these panels away, and you've got this big old notch. I just dropped something. It was his other gun, so he's just not going to have his other gun for the rest of the review. So you can put this in here via the same tab that plugged his hand in, and then it just rests in there, and you close this back up and close this back up and put this down. The guns kind of push this panel out a little more, which pushes this one out a little more, but it's not too bad considering the whole thing is the way it is in the first place. And since I dropped his other gun, it'll just stay on the floor because I don't want to risk bumping my whole setup here just to try and get it. His swords, when I put his swords on, I like to have this detailing facing down because that to me looks like what the slicing surface would be. And you just take this little tab right here and plug it into the same slot that the gun plugged into for storage in vehicle mode. And then for storage in robot mode, on this panel here, you've got this groove between these two features, and this actual feature has like a step here. Try and get focused on that. So you can see it's got a notch cut out of it almost, and you're gonna shove this big gray tab up in between there, and there is going to be a little tab shaped feature on there that I like to just hook up into that notch. So we'll try and do this on camera. Get out of the way, arm. where we'll shove this in. Okay, focus. So we'll shove it in there, and then if we rotate it, maybe you can see, turn on my flash for a second. There we go. You can see that tab resting up in there, and that's how I have them sitting up in there. So we'll go ahead and get this back into position. And so that's what he looks like with the sword on his arm and with the sword stored in robot mode. I like him with his guns, and I like that the swords have somewhere to go, because like I said, on the other figure you would just take the sword off his hand and you'd put it in the same way you would in vehicle mode, and if you do that with this guy, it's not gonna stay. There's no friction there. So we just put it up in his wings, because I actually like his guns better looking, and it makes the wings a little longer. But if you look at the top, the way they're plugged in, it almost has like a pointed flow there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take his one gun I didn't drop out and put it in his hand. Now you can have the guns and the swords in the hand at the same time, but it does not work very well, and there's stuff popping all over the place, and then you'll drop it in your couch or your car or wherever you're at, it'll eat it. So there he is with a gun and his swords on there. I'm gonna try and lean him forward slightly, because he looks like he's just angled up. Yeah, I wish. Why don't you want to rest on your toes? Rest on your toes. Do it. Never really cared for his feet. I think one of the best versions of this character just had the feet there, but also had a regular foot or something underneath to hold him up. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and put him off to the side. We'll have him look towards the camera so he isn't just staring off at the space. Pay attention to the audience Sideswipe. They're here to see you. Least you could do is show them some respect and pay attention to them. You ungrateful little robot, you. We have our shiny silver mirror Rubik's Cube, both just being shiny and silvery together. We have our Gormagala statue. We have our masterpiece Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, and I've actually taken and put on his battle mask because I was tightening up the horns. Let's go ahead and raise the camera up so that way we can see his head with Sideswipe. There we go. Looks nice. And then it's he's in the same movie as Sideswipe, but not this Sideswipe. But since they both have arm plates, we'll go ahead and our deluxe robot comparison will be Dino. So there they are together. Just two cool blade guys. We'll go ahead and we'll put a blade on his arm, so that way him and Dino can both have swords out. And while I've got him back here behind the camera, I'll go ahead and try and get his other sword on in the same hand that his pistol is in, so you can kind of see what it would look like. You can't really you gotta like angle the gun weird, and the sword doesn't plug in super secure, but it is doable. So there you go. He's got dual wielding. He's got a bayonet on his sword, or his gun, using his sword. So there you go. You got them together with his swords on, and just, if I have him far enough forward that he looks towards the camera without staring into the sky, I feel like he's gonna fall. But he's fun to mess with. If I was ever gonna have him on a shelf, he would definitely have to be a car, or I'd have to get some kind of putty or something. But there you go. There's your comparisons. And that about wraps it up for Studio Series Sideswipe. He is Studio Series 78. Sideswipe specifically from Dark of the Moon, and I decided I'd bring this back in real quick, and we'll see if I can get him standing on the cardboard. His wings will not allow it, so I will fold them down at a weird angle so that way we can get him on here. Hopefully, go ahead and rotate him. You can look at the sky now, just because it's going to help you stand on this. We'll zoom out real quick. Yep, he's staring up because he's watching Sideways come busting out that window, I guess. There, we'll turn him around and he'll be looking up at the window. There you go. Nice. Fuck. There's the cardboard. Throw it off again. You get a couple of cardboard clatters in this video. So that's it for Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe. Like I said, this is just a surprise review. I'll probably put it up tomorrow at noon, and then the review after that I want to say is Black Arachnia, and then Optimus Prime, and then Air Razor, and then my Battle Damage Skybreaker might be here by Monday, actually. So I might have to recut the Air Razor review because the end card had Rhinox on it, but now it might feature Skybreaker. It just depends on if I can get the modifications done on him in time to film the review. Well, actually, he would be a new figure, so I could just shove him in wherever I want and just put a random image on the end card instead of a preview. So we'll just go with that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have comments or suggestions, go ahead and comment on the video. If you want to see more content, you can ring the notification bell and subscribe to my channel. It's still basically taken off the ground here, but it's slowly growing, and I'll see you next time. Hi everyone. So I decided that showing off Sideswipe's articulation wasn't important apparently, but I know that some of you will likely want to see it, and since I decided to throw his box out like I said I was going to, I can't reshoot the whole thing. So guess what? We've got our own special edited on articulation segment. Now I did talk about some of his articulation individually while I was transforming him, like the ball joints and hinge system that works in his shoulders, and now he has double jointed knees, but you know, we'll cover it all at once. So he's got a ball joint at his head so he can look at the sky like he wants to the whole review, and look down a little bit. He can swivel a full 360 and a little bit of tilt depending on how far back or forward you have his head. His shoulder is on this ball joint, so you can rotate it forward and back. It starts hitting his armor, but you can use the ball joint as a swivel. He's got a swivel in his bicep. He's got a single jointed elbow to 90 degrees. His wrists move in for transformation. He's got a ball joint at the hip, so it can go out pretty far, go forward, go back, hindered by the backpack. Die swivel. Double jointed bend at the knee. And his ankles don't really rock because the feet are two separate sections. You can move the portions of his foot to help him balance, like I said in the review. Oh, and this guy actually has a waist swivel cut into here, so you got that can go all the way around. I almost forgot about it. I don't remember if the original one had it. It probably did, but I don't remember ever using it. So, and then I guess if you want to count it, this hinge and ball system for his wings, you can do whatever you like with that. Like I said, I just like to line it up in there. And then that's basically it for his posability. So we'll go ahead and just cut this into the end of the video after like a womp womp screen, And we'll see you guys next time.